and Young like Nocturne, Uyr's definitely a very strong jungler. He's a great control jungler. He does have very aggressive ganks as well. He's just one of the strongest junglers overall. But I don't know. Maybe it's that Udyr should have gone top and not Olaf. It's kind of weird. It's hard to nitpick the team because they were running a very niche kind of team. They were running that full bruiser comp. So they just needed more of a lot of things. They needed more. Nocturne would have given them more killing potential on Vayne since they weren't able to take her down. But at the same time, they needed more sustained damage. So they needed an AD carry. I don't know. We'll have to see if they can run that bruiser comp again or if they try something different.
Yep. Sorry for people watching that. I'm just checking to make sure that the overlay is correct because I have two of them, depending on what side the teams are on. And in the meantime, I'm not sure if I actually told you this, Baron, but this is actually being, or is going to be shown at the finals.
Have you been talking to chat, by the way? Like people in your chat?
No.
I realized that I didn't remind you earlier to turn on the audio. I'm assuming you did anyway.
Because I can see it.
You did turn it on, right?
Yeah, that's funny. I can see it. It's
on.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
no,
so...
You had told me earlier.
Oh, okay.
Earlier, you were like, hey, remind me, I need to turn on my audio. And I just remembered, and I was like, I'm assuming that game number 1 we had audio, but it would have been a really awkward realization to know that we were just talking to everyone and no one could hear us.
I thought you were looking in the chat and people were complaining there was no audio. That scared me so bad.
No, I wasn't in chat, so I was just curious. We're good. No code, yellow, red, anything. We're good. We're solid. We're coming into game number 2. Ernst and Young versus Microsoft. Everything is good. We're solid.
Yeah, very true. And I just wanted to point out that this is actually going to be shown at the Red Bull at the finals at the Red Bull Center in the Red Bull Land Center in Santa Monica between Amazon and EA. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully they're like, oh, they're cool. Like this.
We'll cut out all the boring parts, right?
No, they have to endure it. It's part of League of Legends.
Dang.
In the meantime, we see bans and the first pick going down. So we see Ernst Young banning that Yorick, which they saw last game. Unfortunately, Nighttime didn't do too much with it, but I mean that ult on Vayne was really key. And we see also a ban on Jax, which is targeted at Nighttime again. We see a Lee Sin ban this time, which they actually ran that Lee Sin. Actually, no, sorry, Microsoft ran the Lee Sin jungle. So it's so confusing with these sides. And we see Microsoft banning that Shen, banning Udyr, and banning Janna as well. So that's a pretty interesting bans because we kind of see Janna out of it, Lee Sin out of it, Udyr out of it, and Yorick out of it. So we're seeing a completely different game now. We're not going to see too many same picks as last time. And we see that Ernst Young's actually picking Nocturne first.
Called it. Done. So, yeah, there you go. I was actually just thinking, because you were saying that this is going to be shown for the Red Bull Land Center, that we need to handle this like it's a live game, because it's going to be such a weird experience in my mind for them to be like a live crowd, and we're doing this online commentary. So I'm just imagining throughout the game, if we're like, yeah, did you guys really enjoy that? And we just have like a pause for the audience cheer. We're like, oh, hey, everyone, if you're excited for Microsoft, give a yell, ha! But
insert audio. Insert audience response.
Yeah. But yeah, so that Nocturne pick, it's interesting. We see all these tanky bruisers out of the game. They don't want to see him again. Lee Sin and Yorick, definitely were very strong that last game. The concern was getting rid of Vayne, but because Lee Sin and Yorick were too tanky for their bruiser team, they couldn't get into Vayne because, I don't know, they were just sitting up there soaking up all the upfront damage. Nocturne, he can get into Vayne. He is a very aggressive ganker. He's just a strong all-around jungler. So that'll be interesting to see how they work that pick. And then running Kennen and Maokai, a really interesting AoE team. We've seen solo mid run a lot of Kennen and Maokai. Reginald, enjoys Kennen and Maokai, obviously one of the odd ones, premier champions. But Maokai is going to have some extremely aggressive ganks early on with that root, that twisted advance. That's going to be tough to deal with. And then later on, the AoE damage, the AoE, defensive capabilities of Maokai. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Well, I have to say, Nocturne is hands down my favorite jungler in the game. Just because of his toolkit. It's so much fun to play with. And I was talking to Crumbs from Curse, actually, in Ultimate 10, and he was talking about how Nocturne is also his favorite pick and is probably one of the strongest junglers in the game. He's just not seen a lot lately. And I actually believe he did use Nocturne at IPL, and you saw that firsthand. But yeah, just hands down favorite. His toolkit's amazing. I mean, if you're a Baron and you see the enemy team coming in, pop your ultimate, they can't see when the smite's still Baron. It's amazing. I mean, even with those wards, they can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I really hope to see out of Ernst Young here is a CV out of Sona. Maokai is just one of the most disgusting gankers in the game when it comes to playing middle or top as a solo lane. It's just so disgusting. I had my I was playing Cassiopeia middle against like a Rise the other day in ranked, and they had an enemy Maokai who just camped my lane. Once my flash was down, I was just permanently dead. I could not leave my tower. It was terrible, and I wanted to cry.
Rise and Maokai is such a nasty combo with the double snare.
Actually, it was Brand. Sorry.
Oh, Brand. Oh, okay.
Which is just as bad almost, because he pretty much has a guaranteed stun on you, and not to mention he has way more burst than Rise has. But it was just terrible. And hopefully they can do a lot with Maokai, which they should be able to. And the only real thing I can see Ernst Young doing to counter that is just with that CV. If they can kind of tell where Maokai is going to go, Nocturne can kind of be there to counter gank that and turn it around. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they run that. And Ashe, favorite AD carry, or at least used to be. It's kind of Grace now, but just that Ashe, that arrow initiate is just so deadly, but it's so much fun to land like across the map arrow.
Yeah, I would be so scared if I was Microsoft right now, knowing you're going against an Ashe Nocturne combo. It's one of the deadliest combos in the game. Nocturne, like you said, as long as they keep track of Maokai, Nocturne is such a great counter ganker, but he's also really strong at tower diving. He's one of the best champions for ganking top lane. If you have a really aggressive top lane, you can tower dive all day, and it's just so easy to do. We'll see whether or not Kennen goes top lane or mid lane. That's kind of the flexibility that Microsoft has right now. They can kind of pick and choose there depending on what they want to do, though I'm not sure. We've seen Nighttime running a lot of bruisers, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he's comfortable with Kennen or if he's going to run a bruiser again. But Nocturne and Ashe, that has so much burst killing potential. Couple that with Sona, they have all the initiation is on their side. I mean, Maokai and Kennen have great initiation as well. So both teams actually have really strong initiation capabilities, but Sona, with the movement speed that built-in Shirelias basically, and then having the ultimate for counter initiation or initiation, Ashe can pick people off, follow it up with a Nocturne ultimate. There's going to be a lot of kill potential from their team, from both teams so far. So, but that Ashe Nocturne is going to be deadly in that bottom lane. It'll be really tough. So we'll see what kind of a lane Ernst Young decides to run against it.
Do you know what I'd love to see?
Or Microsoft decides to run against it.
I would love to see a TF pick right now out of Ernst Young. I would love to see an AP TF in middle. That is just disgusting. You have 3 global ults. Hey, pop the Nocturne ultimate, land an arrow, TF ultis in. You can't even see him coming as well. And you just blow someone up. That would be so cool to see. And actually, Microsoft picking up that Galio, so we are going to see a Kennen top most likely and Galio middle, which kind of perfectly pairs with their combo.
It's actually, I'm not sure if it's going to be Wukong in the jungle or Kennen AD. It's going to have to be, it's going to be an AD Kennen for Microsoft. So Kennen's going in the bottom lane to defend against that Ashe Nocturne combo.
I want to say that's an AP Kennen. I'm going to say it.
But they have
Twisted Fate Pantheon, yes!
But they have Maokai.
Oh, they do have Maokai. Crap.
So they have. All right. So here's the deal. Microsoft, they have Maokai in the jungle. Galio is going to be going mid. Wukong top, and then Kennen bottom is going to be a very safe bottom lane for them. They also have that last pick. We'll see what kind of a support they go. But we have a full global team from Ernst & Young, which is going to be very aggressive. But here's the concern. All of the champions for Ernst & Young are very short-range champions, and they're going against Galio, Kennen, Maokai. So, Kennen and Galio are 2 of the safest champions and Wukong. So those are 4 really good AoE champions against short-range teams. So Galio, one of the safest champions in the game. TF isn't going to be able to do enough damage to Galio to force him out of lane. Galio will see an early Chalice most likely. He's just going to be sustaining so well there. And then because TF is short-range, Galio is going to get some good damage in lane.
Is that a support Galio? I'm sorry to cut you off, but...
It is a support Galio. Wow.
Huh.
So that's interesting. But regardless, Kennen is very safe in that top lane. I guess Kennen's actually going to be going... Kennen's bottom lane. So Wukong top... Wukong mid.
All right, actually, I'm being told by Microsoft.
Mid,
I'm being told by Microsoft we're not going to know what's coming. I'm being told by Theo. He says you guys literally have no idea what's coming.
They're like, expect the unexpected. But regardless, we see all of this AoE damage, all these AoE disables. That's really strong against a melee team. and that's what Ernst & Young has. So Ernst & Young in team fights is at a huge disadvantage because they have this full, short range lineup. Ash is pretty short range. Her range is okay. She's middling. But, Nocturne's short range, TF is short range, Pantheon is short range against all this AoE damage. But the benefit of Ernst & Young is they have so much initiation capabilities. They get to decide when the fights are going to happen. And then early on, they're going to have so much aggression. And we actually see 4 ignites on Microsoft. I hope that is the case. I hope they hold on to it. They might swap it around a little bit. But regardless, it's going to be a very aggressive game and an exciting one to watch.
I'm really curious to see what Microsoft's up to. I really want to see what's going to happen. And the thing about Ernst Young, like you were just saying, they have a team that can win it early on, like, period. You have just so many global ults. It's just disgusting to see against you. And I'm really curious to see how well they kind of use that in the beginning, because that's pretty much how they're going to win this game. If you pretty much shut down, multiple lanes with all those global ults, you're going to win, period. Like, it's just going to happen because you can't really allow them to drag the game on too long, but you're going to be so far ahead, and you're going to be able to engage on those towers so easily that it's not really going to matter.
And so you're right. They are actually going Kennen top, and with that Jarvan pick, it's going to be a kill lane bottom. So we're doing...
Jarvan Wukong.
It's a Jarvan Wukong kill lane. And so Galio is going to be mid once again. But I literally, when all these picks started happening, I had to stand up, get out of my chair for a second. I'm like, standing behind my computer. I've got, the athletic kind of, I don't know, just excited position. I'm like
pacing.
I'm pacing back and forth in front of my computer because I see how exciting of a match we're going to see here. Just huge aggression all around. It is going to be a kill lane bottom. We will have the teleport in from, Kennen. We could have seen the teleport from Galio as well, but Galio is going to be going mid, so we'll have that fight control. We'll have to see what happens, but, tons of aggression from both teams. It's going to be a kill fest, basically.
Darren, I have to make you say it. I'm sorry, but you have to say it now.
I have to say it? What do I have to say?
You were right, Jason. Kennen is going top and Galio is going middle.
Well, I mean, technically...
No, you have to say it. You have to say it. It's going to happen.
You were right. I'll give you...
technically.
Technically. All right, Jason. Jason, here I am, standing before my computer, standing up in anticipation of this great game. You were right. I was wrong. AP Kennen top lane. They are going to be running a killing bot, though, and we'll have to see, what kind of movement we see from Microsoft.
Hold on. Don't change the subject.
I wanted to glance over it. I wanted to gloss over it. You wanted me to give you your savoring it?
I'm taking it in. I'm savoring it. I got to enjoy this moment because it doesn't happen too often.
You're damn right it doesn't, for good reason, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, all right, we'll have everyone, who's watching the stream, we'll have a moment of silence while Jason gets to savor this moment. You were right last week, too. They sent Urgot top instead of Graves. And I still think Graves has a little bit more survivability in that top lane, but they sent Urgot as well, and you called the Urgot top.
Yeah. Take that in. I feel good. Okay, I'm ready.
Are we good? Do we
wait,
give a couple more
almost,
minutes?
Almost.
We have a minute and a half left of loading that we can allow you to just take it all in.
Okay, I'm good. That feels great. That will last me a good week now.
And,
so yeah, in the meantime, After Hours Gaming League,
game.
This is the 3rd place match for the introductory season of League of Legends for it, and it's a very exciting. And I really wish more people would pay attention to, or notice it, and really watch it because it's really huge for the community. It's kind of one of those things where, well, I guess to be kind of selfish about it in some ways, it gives these companies a chance to see the game and potentially, kind of invest in a little more to see, better tournaments and bigger prize pools. But not to mention, it's also really cool to see that, there are people who work for these major companies that play this game and are pretty good at it. So overall, it's a really exciting thing. And I really hope when Season 2 comes out, a lot more people will be, checking it out and really staying with it. I know on the StarCraft side, we have Day9 and actually Husky StarCraft casting those matches and really helping out, which is a really great thing. I mean, it's always amazing when stuff like this happens in the community and people really, get behind it.
I want to get my team going for season number 2 for League of Legends.
The IPL team?
The IGN Pro League team. We're going to destroy everyone. Or at least, we might actually, I'll tell my boss and he'll be like, no, because if we lose, then we look bad. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I want to see, where's the Ernst & Young sponsorship money coming into esports events? Where's the Microsoft money? coming into esport events. These guys, they enjoy playing the game. Come on. But I don't know.
It's kind of awkward.
Yeah,
Do it already, kind of thing.
well, yeah, we'll have to see. Uh, Ash actually going with the cleanse is pretty interesting. She doesn't want to get picked off. The Maokai Twisted Advance, the potential there for Ash to get picked off is huge. So cleanse definitely a good item, a good summoner for Ash. But here's the concern: they have so many disables on Team Microsoft that if any of them get in range of Ash, if any of them pick him off, even if Ash is able to get off that cleanse, we're going to have so much following it up. Ash can't cleanse through Wukong's ultimate. Ash can't cleanse through Jarvan's disables because, they're both pop-ups. He's got his Cataclysm as well. So, those are non-cleansing abilities. But even so, if she cleanses from Maokai or any of them, then very quickly there's going to be a lot of follow-up. So it'll be tough for her to deal with it. Even so, it's a smart choice. It allows her to get away from Maokai, get away from that kind of initiation from a few of them.
Yeah, very true. That would be extremely deadly if she ever gets taunted by Galio. That's going to kind of really get her killed. And then definitely cleanse is a great idea. And I really want to see what's going to happen because, oh, wow. Oh, no! No! What are you doing, Kennen and Galio? Go middle and top! No! Oh!
Oh, what is this we're seeing? Is this
no!
Is this a Kennen that we're seeing?
It's still AP, though. You have to give me that.
I'll give you the AP.
Now I don't get... Now all that savoring I just did is for nothing.
All right, you have to give it back. All the viewers, they're waiting around. You have to give back the savoring.
You were half right, Baron. I will give you that.
Well, I'm usually right, so can we just give me the right for? I'm actually wrong all the time. My casting style. I always tell people it's word vomit, just constant spewing forth. So obviously some of it's going to be wrong, but we do see Team Ernst & Young being very aggressive here, seeing if they can get an engage early on. They know that Maokai, it's very common for Maokai to start with Wraiths, so that's a ganking opportunity. If you know someone's going to be starting somewhere, that's a ganking opportunity. They could maybe go after his blue. They have a pretty strong early game team with the TF stun, with Ash's burst. But it seems like they're going to just sit back, want to make sure there's not an engage, going to get Nocturne those early levels. And there's the big thing. They know that they have a really strong team throughout the early game, so why give an opportunity for Microsoft to come off to an early lead if you have a bad level 1 team fight? So they're just going to sit back, get everyone to level 6 when they know they have such an aggressive team, and then see where they go with it from there. And actually, Kennen actually going back up top again. So
yes!
There you go.
Yes! I take it back!
I regret nothing.
Personally, I was kind of upset to see that Ernst did actually not invade. They have an amazing level 1 team. Sona has tons of damage, as Freak would say, with her Q. You have that stun from TF, you have a stun from Pantheon, you have that automatic crit from Ashe. That can easily blow up someone. And I just have to say again that I was right, and Kennen and Galio are playing solos, just to reiterate that. But yeah, Nocturne, he definitely needs those early levels. If he can get 6, you see TF 6, you see Pantheon 6, one lane's going to die. You know what's going to happen. There's no escaping that practically.
But here's the concern for Ernst & Young, or I'm sorry, for Microsoft, or I keep on going back and forth. All right, for Microsoft, no, for Ernst & Young. Pantheon top lane, he is a very aggressive lane. He does have some good lane advantage against Kennen, even though Kennen is one of the strongest lanes in the game. But Kennen has so much survivability. It's so tough to kill Kennen in lane. She can use that electrical surge to get out of there. Pantheon, in the meantime, if Maokai ganks early, is going to, I don't know, be very susceptible to kills. Maokai didn't come up at level 2. So we'll see whether or not Maokai allows them to get an advantage there. But we actually see Jarvan and Wukong coming on to Ashe. There's the burst, the cleanse going off, but they flash underneath the tower. The flash from Shift Key is able to get the kill. And Wukong going to go down underneath the tower, takes a little bit too much damage. So even so, the kill lane, it got them the first blood, got them that early advantage.
That was an amazing cleanse from Ashe. She didn't cleanse exhaust, but she cleansed the exhaust and the ignite, and unfortunately she didn't survive it, but that would have been, extremely pro. And I'm confused. Kennen is a chick? I thought Kennen was a guy.
It's a guy.
But you said she.
I have no idea. Kennen's a guy.
Stop toying with my emotions.
I get in trouble for this all the time. My scoreboard disappeared, and I want it back up, and I'm so confused. But we see the stun from TF. Galio going to get some nice damage and going to be able to back out of there. We'll see whether or not the fear goes off. It's going to be very close. So there's the fear, the stun going off. Galio going to be fine, though, going to be able to back off in that lane. TF still has his Ignite, but again, Galio's just so tanky, and once he gets back and gets those early items, it's going to be so tough for TF to, get enough sustained damage against Galio, particularly with that shield.
I feel like that could have actually been a kill for EY. Like, Nocturne got the fear off on Galio, but didn't want to take any tower hits. However, he was at full life, and he had another stun from TF. I almost want to say that could have been a kill. I mean, obviously, Pazubi could have flashed away, but I mean, you had at least blown a summoner. I don't know. That's just me. This is what I think. Just some.
No,
some
that's definitely true. It was tough. I mean, Galio still had his flash up, so they were concerned about tower diving, maybe giving Galio an early advantage because they saw how tanky that he was. They didn't want to be running underneath the tower and then, a couple of tower hits in go, dang, we're not killing him fast enough. But in the meantime, we do see Arnath coming up top. There's no ward coverage for Lee Sin or for Pantheon, and Pantheon is so vulnerable. Arnath is going to be able to get in there, but Pantheon jumping onto Kennen gets the quick kill. Arnath should be able to pick this up, but there's the flash. We do have the slow, but he's just not able to chase him down. So Kennen getting a little bit too aggressive allows him to pick up the kill, and Arnath doesn't have the twisted advance to follow up after the Pantheon flash.
That was like the worst situation for Kennen right there. He lost a huge creep wave. He's now level 3 compared to Pantheon, who's level 5, and coming back, full health and with items. Because I was going to say that if we looked, Pantheon was actually 5 during that fight, and Kennen was still level 3 during that fight. Yeah, sorry. So I want to point that out, because that's an extremely big deal. When you fall behind levels in a solo lane, it really sets you far behind, and they really need that Kennen to get, somewhat fed to kind of go with this whole AoE combo they have going.
But we do see Maokai in this mid lane. There's the twisted advance on the TF. Going to be getting some nice damage, forcing the flash out. But he's going to be fine getting out of there. But we do have a Chalice on Galio. So once again, he's going to have so much sustainability in lane and going to be very aggressive against TF. We'll see whether or not Nocturne can take advantage of that because Galio tends to push in lane. But he's probably just going to be too tanky from this point on. It'll be tough for them to pick up kills.
Yeah, in the meantime, we see that Nocturne is actually on his way to level 6, sitting there at level 5, getting almost halfway. And we see TF in the middle actually about to hit level 6. So we should start seeing some really good action coming here really soon. And Koka just doing amazing work onto Kennen here. Really denying him all his experience. He is super far behind, level 4, and just barely level 4, while Pantheon is level 6 on his way to level 7. And Kennen, he's just not able to get that CS he needs for that Hex Tech, or the gun. The revolver, there we go. Sorry, they're both guns. That revolver to really have that sustain you're talking about, and that's really hurt him right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kennen, usually one of the safest champions in lane, but that ranged harass from Pantheon, a lot of bruisers that Kennen goes against obviously can't exchange harass, but there's actually, a lot of aggression in all of these lanes, and Pantheon able to exchange very well because he has the shield, can block some of that ranged harass that Kennen has. So all that Kennen has in his arsenal are the shurikens, and if Pantheon can avoid those shurikens or even just sustain up, he's going to be fine. But because of that DC, there is going to be a slight advantage to Ernst & Young or Microsoft in that bottom lane, but we do see Nocturne coming in here, trying to get in after this blue. TF is a little bit low, but there's the TF ultimate, and then Galio actually going to cancel it. So, TF getting very low. He does have the Ignite going off. No mana left on Galio. He's going to have to back out of there, but TF in a precarious position. But Kennen, only level 4, can't take advantage of it. And now Maokai going down in the middle of the team. TF going to get the stun onto Kennen.
Oh!
Can he get the kill? There was the Ash Arrow coming in. Kennen will flash after the kill on TF, be able to pick up that kill. But Galio, not able to get in that fight like he would want to. The Ash Arrow, it would have been interesting to see whether or not they could have picked up a kill there. Actually, Pantheon coming mid onto Galio. Galio is definitely out of position. We're going to see a lot of damage here because he's going to get the crits. There's the Ignite going on to Pantheon, onto Galio. One more spear is able to do it, so he does go down. We do have the blue buff, Galio's blue buff, going onto Nocturne. That's going to speed up his jungle some, slow down Galio. So really effective play from Ernst & Young so far.
Yeah, they're really taking advantage of this early game, and that Pantheon is getting so fed right now. 2 kills, 2 assists, and those Dorn Blades are just really doing work in top lane form against that Kennen. That Spirit Harasser you're talking about is just it's so insane with having that extra damage from your Spear, not to mention, with the Dorn's Blades, not to mention the lifesteal that you get. And also in the meantime, at bottom, Ashe is just, she's in a really bad position right now. I mean, the Sona's level 3, can easily get dropped by a combo from Wukong and Jarvan. Ashe, just period, can easily be dropped by that combo as well because she has no outs. And we see Jarvan actually going in right now. He isn't level 6, so he isn't able to jump on her just yet, but we see Nighttime on Wukong actually is 6. So I would not be too surprised if we saw actually a tower dive at top, or sorry, at bottom. Well, now you got me jumbling my words now.
Yeah. I mean, there is that potential there. The concern is whether or not Nocturne can counter gank that. Nocturne and TF, can be anywhere on the map. TF going to be able to pick up this blue from Nocturne. But I don't know. Other than that bottom lane, everything's not going exactly how you would want it to go for Microsoft. But we'll see whether or not they can get it into these mid-game fights. The concern is how fast can Kennen farm, because we have a 3-level advantage on Pantheon to go along with all those items, and he's just such an aggressive, harassed champion. He could maybe shut down Kennen. Kennen, will have the stun available, but if they can burst down Kennen in fights, then very quickly they lose out on a lot of damage.
Very true, and I was just checking out mid lane in the meantime, and we're seeing just how tanky Galio is with that Chalice. I mean, even though TF does have that blue buff, which he'll definitely need to be able to even somewhere get close to killing Galio by himself. But yeah, just Galio just so tanky with that MR, and obviously with that MR that he gets extra AP to do even more damage. So Galio, he's kind of like the perfect counter in middle with the current meta, how it is.
Yeah, he counters out so many AP champions.
Oh,
so
sorry,
effectively.
TF in the
TF,
meantime.
yeah, I saw that.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, he wanted to get bottom. They actually probably could have gone in. Ashe, how much mana does she have? She just has enough for her ultimate. Her ultimate's pretty expensive. You need to be kind of careful with how you negotiate your mana pool as Ashe. But there's always that potential for the quick kill bottom.
It looks like, actually, I thought Pantheon was going to be coming down for that, like, jump on middle there, but, wow, Pantheon with that Brutalizer now, oh my gosh, this Kennen is just, I mean, he has pretty much 0 armor to Pantheon right now, and that is not good. Those spears are going to be doing, true damage to him, and I really would like to see Maokai coming up there to help him out. I mean, even though Pantheon is level 9 and Kennen is 6, you got to stop him somehow. Galio needs to come up there, just something needs to happen so Kennen can get back in this game and become, like, the really huge factor that he will
But there
be.
is actually the jump bottom. Wukong with the ultimate, followed up by the Jarvan ultimate. They're able to pick up Ashe, but here's the teleport in from TF, is able to get the stun, and both of them are going to go down. So a 2-for-1 exchange. In the meantime, Pantheon was able to get the kill on Kennen top. Maokai coming in there, and Pantheon getting some nice harass on Maokai as well, but another kill for Pantheon. And the concern is, like you've been saying, how much damage he has. And I think it's interesting, we didn't talk about it earlier, but Kennen went with the Doran's shield early, so didn't have any health pots to regen. They are trying to chase down Pantheon here. He's going to be able to just run through the towers, be fine there. And in the meantime, his team is taking that dragon, so going to get that early gold advantage. To go along with the 8-3 lead. They have such a huge advantage over Microsoft right now.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what we need to see out of Ernst here to get back in the game. I mean, this will put the series at 1-1, and we will have a game 3 if they can pull this off. And I have to say, they're doing a really good job so far. I mean, there's not too much communication between the ultimates and kind of combining them all together. But even without that, they're still doing a really good job, as we can see, being 8-3. I would like to see, a little more coordination. But it's kind of like they don't really need it too much. And Wukong being sneaky, picking up that TF kill, that was...
Did you see that, actually?
I saw that. That was sexy.
Yeah, using the stealth there, running in with his decoy to get in range of TF. TF was just too low, couldn't get out of there, and now this is going to be... actually, probably not going to be a tower. They're all melee, so it's going to be tough for them to, work against Pantheon. Pantheon actually jumping on the Wukong. They do have vision underneath this tower. The fear not going to go off. Nocturne very low. There's the twisted advance in, and then the flash from Galio. So they're going to be able to pick up this Nocturne kill. He's just barely able to flash out of there, though. Maokai does go down, but there's the Son ult able to pick up Wukong there. So an even exchange for the two teams. Actually, an exchange in Ernst & Young's favor as 2 people go down from Microsoft in that attempt on mid.
Yeah, I was just really excited about that fight right there. Nocturne just barely escaping by the skin on his teeth, and now we see TF ulting to top lane to chase away that Kennen, but he, obviously with that lightning rush, he's able to get away, and sorry about that. And yeah, just this Pantheon. I mean, luckily he did go down, Squeak, so he did give a killing bonus to Kazubi, so Galio now able to get even more tanky, but that's kind of not the character that you want to get the money to at the moment. I mean, TF is their only real source of AP. Out of EY, so it would have been kind of nice to see maybe Wukong pick up that kill to kind of help out with the damage that they're going to need, or maybe actually that Jarvan was in bot lane the entire time, so never mind about him.
It's going to be so tough for Microsoft at this point, though. We talked about how much.
Oh no, Pantheon's actually jumping bottom right now into this Jarvan. He does get arrowed by Ashe, and he's getting pretty low here. And it looks like Pantheon will be able to pick up this kill as Nocturne comes in as well to not really get credit for that. So that's kind of unfortunate, wasted ult. But really well done by Pantheon to start roaming around, and this Kennen needs to take advantage of that right now. You need to push your lane as hard as you can, pick up as much CS as you can, and try to get yourself back in the game. And hopefully, if Pantheon keeps roaming, your team can kind of be aware of that and play a little passive just to help Kennen catch up.
But we had talked about it. Actually, Pantheon going in onto
Wow.
Galio. Galio taking a lot of damage. Will go down. TF is going to be fine there. There's the Nocturne Fear going to be able to pick up Maokai there. The rest of his team is leaving. Wukong jumping back onto TF, able to pick up the kill. Pantheon able to pick up another kill. But we were talking about last game how, we didn't have the great sustained damage from Ernst & Young. Well, Microsoft doing the same thing this game. They have so much burst potential. They have so much teamfight AoE where they could just insta-win fights, but they don't have that great sustained damage because they don't have an AD carry.
I know, Pantheon coming top lane on the Kennen here. Oh my, just choking like a fourth of his life with a spear. And if you can get the stun onto him right here, and it looks like this will be a kill as someone comes up for that slow, which he's so strong for, and Kennen popping his flash and still gets taken down as he pops his ultimate as well. And yeah, just like you were saying, it's kind of like a switch of roles. We saw, no real AD carry for Ernst Young last game, but now we're seeing no real AD carry for Microsoft, so they kind of like switch. Like now Microsoft's all melee practically, and Ernst Young has at least a range, or two range technically, for this. So that's kind of actually really funny that it kind of just switched exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough for them. I mean, if they can get armor, then they'll be fine. If they get the strong fight that they want, again, they have such great fight control with all these ultimates. They could just insta-kill Ernst Young. But we'll see Jarvan a little bit out of position here. I think Ashe might have just seen him. Throws off the hawk shot, not able to find him. So actually Nocturne going to be fighting off Wukong here a little bit. There's the Ashe arrow going to hit Jarvan mid EQ combo. TF is ulting in. Nocturne is going to go down, but TF going to be able to pick up a kill there. Maokai coming in as well. And now Galio's here, so we're going to have the Galio ult on the two of them. Galio actually only able to pick up the Ashe, but then the cleanse and the flash from Ashe is able to get out of there. TF going to throw off the stun, but they're chasing him down, so TF is going to go down now. But, could have been worse for Ernst & Young. So 2 kills for Microsoft, able to make that work for them.
That was actually an early cleanse by Ashe. She did not cleanse out of that stun right away, but because of the effect that cleanse has after you use it, she was able to get away before the damage was done. That was pretty intense. And during that fight, we saw TF actually ult into the middle of Jarvan's Cataclysm, and I thought that was really funny. He's like, "Hey, what's up, guys? I'm not scared to be in here," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow. But I kind of want to touch on Pantheon right now. I mean, we were talking about this entire game, 7-1. But did you see how hard he chunked Microsoft's tank? Which, it pretty much is Galio, as Maokai isn't really too tanky yet. But he's just so fed right now. He can pretty much drop Zubi down to half-life with just like one little combo that he has.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Pantheon is he's just got so much burst potential. Everyone always used to look at Pantheon as not scaling that well into late game. He scales a lot better now, but, with the changes that had happened to him a couple of months ago. But he, even so, with this many items, he's just such a serious threat for them to deal with. They're mostly magic damage, so it's interesting to see him go with the Hex Drinker. Yeah, they are mostly magic damage, so the Hex Drinker will be an interesting pickup. He can block a lot of that damage that's, coming in from Galio, from Kennen, from Maokai, from all of them. So not having the sustained damage, it'll be tough for them to take down Pantheon. He's just going to go on a tear through their team, basically.
And not to mention the new item that was added not too long ago, Maw of Malmortis.
Yeah.
That's an amazing item, and obviously he will be upgrading that Hex Drinker into that. And I've actually kind of noticed on the forums, and you may actually give me your opinion on, is I've seen people talk about Spirit Visage and how it should kind of have the same treatment that Hex Drinker got, where there's an item you can upgrade into. Do you have any thoughts on that before hopefully this team fight breaks out?
It's tough to say because Spirit Visage is such a conditional item. There's really...
Well, you could say the same thing about Hex Drinker being a situational item as well.
But Hex Drinker, there's, it's an AD item that gives you magic resist. How many champions, all these AD champions, these spell dealers that are AD, how many of them would you want an AD item that gives magic resist? All of them. So we actually see Pantheon coming in here. There is the Pantheon.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to follow it up. They did get the dragon, but the Ashe arrow coming in as well. So much AoE damage going down, but we have Ashe coming in, TF coming in to clear it up. So this is a huge one fight for Ernst & Young. Once again, they have such a huge advantage. That was, about as good as it gets, getting most of the team. They weren't able to get Ashe in all that AoE, but Ernst & Young just able to clear them out, just so strong at this point. They're so far ahead. But so Hex Drinker, it was kind of a weak item, and the reason was that you wanted to go into bigger items. It was a little bit too expensive. You were like, well, it's an early game item, but it's more of a mid-game item. Like the cost of it was a mid-game item. So it was like, yeah, I would rather buy a BF sword or I would rather buy a Bloodthirster or something than get Hex Drinker. But now that it's an early game item, it's got great stats that you want. Spirit Visage, on the other hand, it gives you cooldown reduction and health, which is very strong. But there's other items that give you that. Shirelia's being, first that comes to mind. Shirelia's is such a strong item. So I don't know that I would ever get Spirit Visage right now over Shirelia's, except if I had a champion that scaled off of the passive from Spirit Visage.
Yeah, like Vladimir.
Right. But then again, the passive it can't be that good because there's some champions that use it so effectively. So the passive is honestly pretty weak with Spirit Visage. It'll be tough to make it into a full item just because it's such a conditional item. It doesn't provide you with something that a lot of champions could use. It's so situational.
Very true. I definitely enjoy talking about that kind of stuff because it's really, neat to see what kind of changes can be made. And I was just looking over items where we're talking, and Nocturne, that's really scary to see a Nocturne have that Yomu's and those attack speed boots, 20 minutes into a game, and not to mention the Giant's Belt, which I'm assuming would be going towards a Frozen Mallet, or, obviously maybe a Warmong. But I'm hoping he goes for that Frozen Mallet, but that is just extremely deadly. I'm kind of surprised to see him not go a little tankier off the bat, but I mean, it's working out for him. They have that damage they need. They're really holding Microsoft back in their AoE. Like, Kennen is still pretty far behind. He's level 10. Does not have that level 2 ultimate, and his items, I mean, he does have that Woda, but that's it. He doesn't really have any other kind of, AP. He built that cloth armor. I think that actually cloth armor came just now. I don't think that was actually built earlier or bought earlier, but he's having to go a little tanky now.
Weird.
I would hope to see maybe like a Zhonya's out of Kennen to really be able to provide anything in a fight, because he obviously will be focused down. But with that extra armor and that 100 AP you get, will actually make him deadly in a fight versus, building tanky right now or maybe another kind of AP item, because he really needs that survivability with his Pantheon, who's now 8-1 and 8.
It's so tough because they really are so far behind at this point, and they don't have the sustained damage that they need in fights. They needed an AD carry. So we'll see. Actually, Jarvan coming in here trying to see if they can get a good engage, but not able to do it. And so the harass from TF coming back onto him, from Pantheon coming back onto him, and Pazubi is already below half, like you had said earlier. It's just they're so far behind right now that AoE doesn't really matter. I mean, Kennen could be as tanky as he wants, and he wouldn't be effective. He could have the Zhonyas right now, and he still wouldn't be effective because they don't have the damage to follow up with it. So it'll be interesting. Really, Microsoft just needs to pick people off. They need to make big plays happen. They need to get some kills, get Baron, and just overpower Ernst & Young so quickly right now because otherwise they just don't have the sustained damage to take them down in these fights.
And we are seeing that Ernst & Young actually does have all their ultimates up, so we could see another teamfight coming up here almost, instantly in the blink of an eye, a teamfight happening as they, kind of combine all their ults together, like with our forces combined kind of thing. Sorry, I was thinking of Captain Planet. But anyways, so yeah, and if you remember we were talking about earlier, we see the fight happening now as Nocturne comes in as TF ult in front of him as well, summoning an ultimate onto 2 people, and Pantheon just jumping onto people, doing as much damage as he possibly can, and just, Ernst & Young getting kind of, I don't even know what to say to that. They kind of just got shut down there. That was really surprising to see. That was exactly what Microsoft needed.
And that's what we had talked about in the beginning of the game, having all of those melee champions in that combo ultimate from Galio and Kennen. They picked off Kennen very quickly. Kennen wasn't able to get off the ultimate, but all of that other damage coming in, Wukong, actually I'm kind of surprised by how much sustained damage Wukong has, and maybe that's the key for him. If they can get Wukong, to farm up a little bit more, he does have that brutalizer, he has a lot of damage, but that's what we talked about. They have a lot of fight control if they can get all their ultimates comboed, and there Ernst & Young just kind of walking into it. A huge comeback, potentially, for Microsoft. This Baron, they still don't have very strong pushing capabilities because they're all so short range. They don't have, the tower harass that they need. But if they can get another fight like that, then very quickly they are in control of this game. Very quickly they could win this game. Ernst & Young needs to be a little bit more careful. I think they got excited by the fact that all the fights had gone so well for them and forgot that they were running a short-range team against this full AoE comp.
Yeah, not to mention, just look how fed that Wukong is getting right now. I mean, he has 6 deaths, but that BF sword is huge for him, and that Brutalizer as well. And Jarvan, who actually just finished off his Trinity Force, is going to be doing quite a bit of damage in those team fights. And I think what's kind of funny is that both teams cannot really fight without their ultimates being up, kind of thing. Because Ernst & Young is really dependent on kind of confusing Microsoft and scaring them off with their ultimates combining together. But then again, you have Microsoft, who can't really do anything without Galio's ultimate, without Kennen's ultimate, without Wukong's ultimate, and Jarvan's ultimate. What's really cool to see is if you see a Galio ultimate into a Jarvan ultimate, to kind of hold them there, you're going to see Kennen just demolishing them and Wukong knocking up as many people that are in that little circle. So I mean, they still can be in this, and I was honestly really surprised to see him win that fight this last time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, now we're starting to see that Microsoft team. We had talked about it in the beginning how much fight control they have. We hadn't really seen it all game. Ernst and Young just absolutely dominating this game so far. But once all the ults were comboed, they were very strong. So it's going to be key for Ernst and Young to try and pick people off. They need to, split push. They have great split pushing capabilities, and then use the fact that they've got more sustained damage. Use that Ashe. Use that range. Pick people off. And see where you can go with it. But Microsoft going to be able to pick up this dragon for that advantage. We do have the TF ult though. Not going to come in. That probably would have been a game over for them if they had just, tried to go balls to the wall for that.
That was like a nope kind of moment right there for TF. Like nope, not happening kind of thing. What was I gonna say? I kind of just. Oh yeah. I'm kind of sad though to see Microsoft come back. I mean, not to say it's not exciting to see, but I was hoping for that ARAM. Yeah, that might have happened for Game 3.
But here, actually, with that Baron, we have terrible pushing capabilities from Microsoft having that full melee team. But with how strong they are, no one from Ernst & Young is defending, so this is going to be an inhibitor. So Pantheon coming mid, seeing if he can push down this mid tower. But a game that seemed all but wrapped up for Ernst & Young. They seemed like they had just such an insurmountable lead. One huge fight from Microsoft, one Baron. There's the inhibitor going down. They have all this AoE damage, and now Ernst & Young is just deathly afraid. They really didn't expect that last fight. And actually, Microsoft just coming in for it. There's the Stone ult, the Ashe initiation. Pantheon and TF aren't going to be back in time, so Microsoft just pushing down these Nexus turrets might be able to take this.
Yeah, I was actually confused to see Sona ultimate there, because that kind of just blew what little CC they had in fights. And as we see, wow, Nocturne actually getting demolished right. There's Pantheon and ultimates behind him. And Galio Kennen time their ultimates together as well as Jarvan just going to town while taking a tower. And now we see 3 members from Ernst Young down as Pantheon jumps in onto this Maokai in the back, who kind of twisted advances away to try to run. But his Ashe will be able to slow at least his Galio, and maybe if you're actually, no, they will be able to pick up this kill here, even though Galio is super tanky. Pantheon is just too strong. And wow, Ashe actually almost going down there in the meantime, but I don't know what to say about that. I feel like the Sona ultimate and the Ashe era was kind of used a little too early. They weren't really prepared to fight that.
Well, they weren't, but at the same time, they were about to lose their second Nexus turret, so they got scared. You're right. They probably needed to hold on to it a little bit, wait for their team to come back, and maybe they would have really quickly just won that fight outright. They did win the fight, I mean, but at the same time, we saw how much of an advantage Microsoft was able to take. I think Ashe and Sona, they just got really scared. They were like, wow, look at all this damage that's going on to our Nexus. They didn't expect it to happen. They thought that maybe Microsoft would back after getting that inhibitor, and that would allow Pantheon to get that mid inhibitor. But they just went straight for it, which was the right decision from Microsoft. And I don't know, it just didn't work out for them. They weren't able to combo their ultimates. They really need everyone set up in a small area. If they can get all of Ernst & Young set up right in front of them, then they can win the fights. And so with having that inhibitor down now, they can come set up in this top lane, push this top lane down, and then get all of Ernst & Young sitting underneath the base turret. And then when they're all sitting underneath that base turret, guess what? We have all these huge AoE ultimates that are just going to jump on you, quickly pick up a kill. But I don't know, it'll be interesting. This next fight could win the game for either team. And so both teams need to be very careful about how they're initiating, because obviously one more fight for Microsoft, the game is over. Ernst & Young loses. 1-1 fight for Ernst & Young. Very quickly they get an inhibitor, and then they get to use the strengths of their team, and that split pushing with an inhibitor down would be huge. But Microsoft able to take another turret, slowly put the pressure on.
Well, not to mention the Baron that will actually be up in about a minute and a half, because we see Baron did fall off for Microsoft. And I just want to go back to what you're talking about in the area of fighting, where Microsoft really needs a small area to kind of fight with.
Right.
I mean, it works for both teams, but obviously it kind of heavily favors Microsoft. And that fight in middle that we saw at that second tower actually set it up perfectly. I mean, it's a really enclosed area, and they're able to, grab as many people as they can with their ultimates. But the downside to fighting in their base, which we just saw from this last fight, is that, it's an open area. It's really hard to kind of combine all your ultimates together to hit as many people from the other team as you can. So, I mean, actually, go ahead.
No, I was going, I just love cutting people off. That's like my modus operandi. But I was going to say, It's kind of interesting. It would have been nice if Ernst& Young had recognized the cooldowns for Microsoft because all their ults are on cooldown, or I'm sorry, are off cooldown, but all of Microsoft's flashes are down. So it makes it very tough for Microsoft to engage a fight right now. If Ernst& Young is aggressive, gets that Ash Arrow initiation, they could maybe pick someone off and not have the Flash Galio ultimate, not have the Flash Cannon ultimate, those kind of things.
Yeah, they're really Microsoft's really just trying to delay for those ultimates to get up because they know they cannot win a head-on fight if they do not have their ults up.
Right.
So they're kind of just sitting back at Baron. Hopefully, looks like we're going to try to force a fight over here, where it's another small area, so they can easily grab a lot of people together. And as well, in the meantime, the bot lane is pushing. They are attacking that Nexus turret, so Ernst Young is forced to kind of fall back and fight. And what they kind of need to do right now is really make sure to push out that bot lane so when Baron does come up, they are able to contest it. Because otherwise, their lane's going to keep pushing, and they're going to take down that Nexus turret and potentially the Nexus. Or they'll have to back and have a guaranteed loss of Baron.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Baron is that nice enclosed space for Microsoft. So really, Ernst& Young just in a bad situation right now. Microsoft going to be able to pressure this Baron. Ernst& Young does know it's up. They are coming to defend it, but they're all going to be grouping up in a tight, confined space. It'll give the perfect opportunity for Microsoft to engage this.
And Microsoft has all their flashes up as well. And we see Pantheon jumping in here, and I'll let you take this one away.
Oh, well, there's the ultimate, actually. Kennen going to have his ultimate as well, getting off the full Galio ultimate. So everyone from Ernst & Young is going down. We have the Ignites going off, but they just can't get the damage that they want. They were it was that desperation ultimate. So very quickly, the game has turned around from them. We have the stun from Kennen. Everyone going down. There is the ace. This is game. Ernst & Young going down, Microsoft taking game number 2. They took game number 1. So Microsoft winning. They are the 3rd place winners. Ernst & Young is going to be the 4th place. They're actually stopping at the mid inhibitor. There's no reason. Why are you stopping at the mid turret? They want this mid inhibitor. They could just go straight for the Nexus. Still, they have plenty of time. They will be able to take this. Actually, the outer inhibitor did just respawn, so it was actually probably a good call for them to take it. But even so, well, they had to take something, but originally they didn't need to. But there it is, the game 1 from Microsoft, and Ernst & Young just has to be in this utter state of disbelief right now.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. They played such a really strong early and mid game, and it's just that one fight that really just turns it around. They didn't fight in a perfect situation, a perfect area for it to happen, and fortunately they just kind of got ace, lost Baron, and that was just a huge turning point. But yeah, congratulations to both teams. This is 3rd and 4th place. So Microsoft did pick up 3rd place. Ernst Young did pick up 4th place, but that's still nothing to be ashamed of. And something just dropped outside of my room, and it's crashing.
It's interesting. We had talked about it in the very beginning of the game, how Ernst & Young, they have this short-range team. Everyone from their team is just clumping up into these huge AoE ultimates from Microsoft, which gives Microsoft such a good advantage. It seemed like, though, that Ernst & Young just had too much of an advantage. It seemed like, I don't know what the gold advantage was, but they were up by like 15 kills or something. Maybe it wasn't that much, but
it was a large amount.
It was a large amount. Ernst & Young had control of the game, and there wasn't a sustained damage dealer from Microsoft. So if Ernst & Young was able to survive through these AoE ultimates, then very quickly they win the fights. But unfortunately, it was just too much AoE, and Ernst & Young all had to sit right underneath it. Ash was the only one who was safe. Sona as well, but the rest of the team, all short range, all getting caught by those ultimates and going down very quickly to Microsoft once their team all grouped together and, all comboed their abilities.
I'm really surprised that turned around because that Pantheon just seemed so strong that he wasn't going to go down to anything. He was chunking people to half health with a combo. He is still extremely tanky, having his passive and that frozen mallet. I'm just still shocked that turned around so quickly. That's just the perfect example of never give up because you can always still win the game, kind of thing right there. But Kennen just got shut down completely early game. Maokai wasn't able to really get off any successful ganks. The only real successful lane, I guess, I'd say is bot lane, who actually did get that early kill on the Ashe and was able to apply pressure. But in the kind of same thing is that unfortunately Ashe's Sona did DC for a good period of the game, so she was forced to kind of solo farm that. And when you're against a Wukong and a Jarvan, you're not going to, peek your head out past that tower kind of thing. So that definitely did hurt her quite a bit. But just overall, that was still really exciting to see. The ult coordination between both teams was really, really amazing and really exciting to watch. And it makes it really impossible to cast that because there's so much going on. You really don't have anything to focus on.
You just focus on whatever's the most interesting, and it was all good. I was kind of surprised, with the advantage that Ernst and Young had. There was definitely a point in the game where they could have won it by split pushing. Pantheon could 1v1 anyone in the game, so Pantheon could have split pushed. Um, you know, Ash and the rest of them could have gone down another lane. TF could have gone down another lane. So they could have pushed all three lanes and then had the ult in from Pantheon, from TF, and been very capable there. Sona would give them the kiting that they need in order to get away. Ash and Sona, that combo is very difficult to engage on. So they could just kite and be very safe, not allow Microsoft to get in on them, and then just slowly push down all three lanes. But they thought they had the game won. They knew they had such a huge advantage. They were like, oh, this game's over. Let's just win this one fight and it'll be done with. And that was what was going through their mind. We saw that one huge fight where everyone just ulted in, Nocturne ulted in, Ash arrowed, TF ulted in. They were like, yeah, guys, let's just win this fight, get it over with. And then all of a sudden, they were caught by all these AoE ultimates, and they went, oh, shit, what the hell did we just allow happen? That's game. We're going to lose this game now. And very quickly, you saw the fear in their eyes. They were running around the map scared. They didn't understand what had happened and weren't able to take back that advantage. So, really just great play from Microsoft. Didn't have the sustained damage that you would like, but even so, Wukong and Jarvan have lots of physical damage. Wukong with his ultimate has decent damage output that's really high as the game progresses, particularly level 16. So able to pick everyone off in that short range team versus that AoE team, like we had said.
I couldn't see the fear in their eyes because I'm not next to them. I don't know what you're doing, but I am nowhere near these players. Kind of. No, I just trying to be funny, and it's obviously not working. So, anyways, I'll just change the subject. So I was right. I just want to point out again that Kennen did go top and Galio did go middle. I have to rub that in your face a little bit more.
Well, I always thought Galio was going to go middle. I thought that they would, because we saw they kind of wanted an AD. They needed, there was a point in the game where it seemed like they would have needed sustained damage, but it worked out for them. They, running that full AoE initiate team, they ran it, very well. It was actually really interesting to watch. But that's kind of why I thought Kennen would go bottom, because they already had a mid laner, they had a top laner, and they had a jungle. So it just made sense to me. But running that kill lane definitely worked out for them.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was still an exciting match to see. Just overall, I mean, really, really well played with coordination, and that turnaround by Microsoft was really inspiring. I mean, you cannot see a game like that and not, in your next ranked game where you're losing pretty bad, kind of just give up. There's always a chance you come back if you can coordinate really well. And yeah, that was just. I mean, I have nothing else to say. That was just really well played and really exciting third place match to cast. So, I mean, if there's nothing else further ado for you, I mean, I guess we could just wrap it up.
I'm good. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the match. I don't know how many we had watching. Obviously there will be VODs and whatnot, but thanks everyone for tuning in. Definitely a lot of fun to watch these teams go at it. They are pretty decent players, and the interesting thing is that you see a lot of comps that you wouldn't normally expect because they want to just be aggressive. They want to, go all out for it. And so when's the last time I've seen a full AoE engaged comp? I can't remember. It's never really. So we see these kind of aggressive team comps that you can play well because these are decent players, but you wouldn't normally see pros run because there's just so much risk associated with it.
Very true. And to be kind of creepy, I kind of want to say to people watching this at the Red Bull Land Center, I hope you guys enjoy. I don't know if this is being played before or after, but I'm assuming it's being played before. Have a good finals match, and I'll definitely be watching you guys. Outside the window, obviously. And yeah, I mean, thank you, Baron, very much for casting. I always appreciate casting with you. And if you guys recognize him, he actually did cast IPL, which happened 2 weekends ago, and that was exciting to watch. And he always does a fantastic job. So for it, I guess I guess that's it. I mean, I'm just gonna say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. It was a pleasure. Just you gotta have the authoritative, just get that testosterone going. Hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so thank you. It was a pleasure, Jason. Always a pleasure, when you invite me to cast. And thanks, guys. After Hours Gaming League.